sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video we are going to do something that I normally don't do, which is talk about my family, but also I'm going to talk about something that is a very personal topic. And if you are new to my channel, hello, I'm Marissa. I talk about all things spirituality, self-love, wellness, and just creating your best life and finding balance in the busyness of our world. So in today's video, if you have never seen my Draw My Life video, I will link that down below and things will make a lot more sense to you. I am going to just reflect on what today is, and today is the 10-year anniversary of losing my mom. Never thought I'd say that. The reason that I wanted to make this video and the reason that I feel called to share this is just that there's no how-to and there's no guide on losing a parent, and there's no guide to losing your mom as a teenager or even coming into your own as a young woman and as an adult and reflecting and just seeing that 10 years has gone by, and I feel like I've learned more now losing my mother than I did with my mother here. And I don't think I'm going to edit this video. I think I'm going to try and keep it very raw and real and just a little more uncut. And I'm making this video for people who have lost a parent and lost a parent to addiction and just kind of feel alone in that, because I don't see a lot of people in this space talking about that, and I know it's a hard thing to talk about, and it's especially a harder thing to process and deal with. And I feel like when you lose someone, a loved one especially, and especially a parent, it's something that heals over time. And we hate that answer. We hate hearing that things heal over time. And I think especially losing a parent or someone you love to addiction can feel really defeating. It can feel really hurtful, and you can feel that this person that you loved chose their addiction over you. And I think that in my heart, when I think back to being a kid, and my mom always struggled with addiction when I was growing up, and I always saw my parents both drinking really heavily, and you know, I did very much know that drugs were a play in my household. I don't think that I knew to the extent, but my parents are both addicts, and a lot of people don't know about my childhood, and a lot of people don't know about my family, and it's not something that I totally talk about a lot. I actually keep it very separate. I left home when I was 16, and I moved in with my mom's parents, so that was a couple months after my mom had passed. She passed away on, well, we got the call on New Year's Eve that she wasn't doing well. We went to the hospital. They told us that she was brain dead, and that the next day on New Year's they, you know, unplugged, if you would. And I think it was a very surreal thing at the time, and I think there's no right way to heal, and I think that there's no right way to process, and there's no right way to feel about it. And this kind of got sparked up the other night when I had actually one of my best friends talking to me about the situation and talking to me about the fact that I don't talk about it, and the fact that even in our friendship it took a little bit longer for me to tell her. And I think that comes from personally in my life never wanting to be known just for like this sad story that I have. When I released my Draw My Life video a couple years ago, a lot of people were really surprised to hear my story, and I think that I feel this immense love for life because I see how hard it can be for people, and just thinking about how hard it was for me as a kid, and to feel so misunderstood and not feel like I had a ton of people on my side, and feeling really alone as a kid. And that's what made me want to create this space for people to not feel alone, and to know that there are so many people that do care, and you just have to find them. But I think the number one thing that I learned from my childhood and from my mom passing was that you need to love yourself deeper than anyone else. You need to be your own foundation and you need to be your own rock, because at the end of the day, that's who you have. I didn't really have anyone else when I chose to pick up my senior year of high school and like move states and move in with my grandparents. And of course, yes, I had my grandparents, but I gave up my whole family. I gave up all of my friends, and I gave up everything knowing that there was something else out there and that I had a greater purpose than just being another like statistic, and just knowing that if I were to stay in that house, and I knew that my life would not reach its full potential if I didn't do something drastic. And I think that after my mom passed away, it gave me this new appreciation for self and for showing up for yourself and showing up for everyone around you. And it's so tricky. Like, it's so tricky trying to explain to people how you can seem so quote-unquote normal, and you very much seem like you had a very traditional upbringing. And when people hear that I don't talk to my family, or you know, that I'm not connected with them, or even that my mom passed away, and especially when people find out that my mom died from a drug overdose, like, people are always like, what? Like, you can just see the like shock in their face. And I think that losing my mom, and then just a couple months later pretty much losing everyone else in the family, on, you know, my dad's side, and that was all from a choice of just, I needed to walk away because nothing good was coming of it. And I didn't feel loved. And to have the people in your life where, when I was younger, it was my mom, who she struggled really severely with her mental health, and she was bipolar 1, and she suffered with depression, obviously, with that being incorporated into it, and she started doing drugs when she was so young. And so just, she was a beautiful person and she had the greatest of intentions, but she taught me and gave me this compassion for people and life, but also gave me an understanding of mental health that I think a lot of people don't understand. You can appear to be perfectly fine on the outside, and you can have all of the things. You can have a Range Rover, you can live in, you know, the biggest house, you can be married, you can be single, you can have a million partners, whatever it may be. That doesn't change the fact that sometimes you can't control how you're feeling. And my mom gave me this appreciation and understanding of mental health and wanting to understand people deeper. I have a passion for people where I want to always understand. And I always want other people to understand, which is kind of a fault of mine being on this platform. It can feel really, or social media in general, it can feel really hard to be understood because people don't have the full story. And no matter how much you explain or overly explain or under explain, because it truly is just more opinion online than anything, it gets really hard. So, I feel like this is so rambly, I'm so sorry. Just these past 10 years, there's not a day goes by that there's not something I wish that I could tell my mom, or there's not like one instance that happens that I just wish she was there. Like when I graduated high school, or when I had my first serious boyfriend, or had my first serious heartbreak, or like when I lost my virginity. Like, I wish I could have told my mom, which I know is like funny to a lot of people, but my mom and I were very open with each other. And just thinking about all these things that I would love to share with her, or just like, I think about it in like an energetic way, and just like knowing that this is the person who like gave me life and was supposed to love me and nurture me and take care of me more than anyone else. Like, that is hard sometimes. And I think that what makes it easier is also being realistic with myself that that's not who my mom was. My mom was an amazing, beautiful woman, but she had a lot of her own struggles where she couldn't fully show up for, you know, my family, and everyone always supporting her and taking care of her. And everything that I went through with my mom makes me so excited to be a mom and so excited to like fully show up for when I choose to have children. And I'm so grateful for my upbringing because it gives me a new understanding of people. It gives me this level of patience. It gives me a level of understanding, but also like it's taught me that I don't need to be a doormat. It's taught me that you don't need to stay in situations because you feel like you're supposed to love someone, or you're supposed to do this or supposed to do that. Because at 16, I made the decision that I'm not supposed to feel this unhappy. I'm not supposed to feel this unloved or unsupported. And I feel my mom every day. I feel her around me. If I'm ever like sad or stressed out, I can feel her trying to share things with me or communicate with me. And I think that that is everyone who's ever lost someone that they love. That person is always guiding you and is part of your path forever. Like my mom literally is a part of me. I am, you know, her. And I also think that part of my calling in this lifetime was that to help my grandparents. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram that you've seen, but I am an exact like twin of my mother, where I went to her high school senior year, I lived in her bedroom, I had her English teacher, her high school friends worked at the high school, I have matching tattoos with her high school best friend, who is now like my aunt, who I love. I'm like forgetting to breathe. And I know that my grandparents, first off, my grandparents are like my guardian angels. I love them more than anything, and ever since I was a kid, I wanted them to be my parents. I wanted to live with them. And as I got older and, you know, as my mom passed away and like time went on, I've learned that part of the reason I'm here was to help my grandparents, and I was here to help them grieve and lose her. And that might sound odd to some people, but I've said this before on podcasts that people always ask like, how are you okay with losing your mom? Or how are you okay, like how did you heal from that? And I think that the worst thing that you can do is like blame yourself, or like be upset or be angry or blame them. And a lot of people think that addiction is selfish, and I don't personally feel that way because I saw how much my mom wanted to change, and I saw the work that she did do, 333. And I guess right now this is like a message that's coming through for like a very specific group of people, but if you are feeling angry, or if you are feeling hurt or sad, or if you're feeling angry and hurt by someone that you lost to addiction, or even someone who is going through their own addiction, you have to know it's not about you, and you have to know that that is a hard struggle that they're going through. And sometimes it's easier for us to blame ourselves and to even make them the bad guy, instead of realizing that addiction really is a monster. And yeah, it might have been a choice for them to like start doing these things or trying these things or anything like that, but none of us pick up a drink like wanting to become an alcoholic, or none of us want those things to happen. And unfortunately, like my mom lost that battle and I lost my mom, but I know that those things are not correlated. Like I know that me losing my mom was not because she wanted that to happen. Does that make sense? So I get a lot of questions about dealing with family members with addiction, or just toxic family members in general, and I think that all you can do is love them anyway. Like that's how it was with my mom. We didn't have a consistent relationship my whole time growing up, but I loved her anyway, but I loved her from afar sometimes, and we didn't talk sometimes, and that was okay. And as sad as it is, like, sometimes I forget that my mom is dead. Like, I forget that she is not here, and it's not an option to talk to her because she was so in and out of my life. And to think that 10 years has gone by is, like, absolutely mind-blowing and absolutely just, like, wild. Time goes by so quick. And I know this is just like a stream of consciousness and seems so silly, but I think that sometimes we just need to know that we're not alone. And there are a lot of people who lose parents, and there are a lot of people who lose family members to addiction, and I don't see a ton of people talking about it. I don't see a lot of people sharing their story about it, which I get it because it's hard, and for some reason I feel the need to share, and I just want people to know they're not alone, and I want people to know it's not their fault, and I want people to know it gets better. And I know that my mom was one of the greatest teachers in my life, and she taught me so much. She taught me so much about mental health and addiction and compassion, but also she taught me so much to have fun. Like, my personality is very much my mom, and I see her shine through me all the time. I actually, you know what, you guys, I had this video for Mother's Day, which I don't do videos for Mother's Day, and especially like brands always want to come to you and like do these Mother's Day deals, and I had this brand come to me, and I don't want to like upset them, so I won't say what it was, but it was a really cool thing that I was like, hey, you know, I explained the story that my mom had passed. I was like, but I'd love to give this to my grandma, and the thing was all about memories, and I made this video. It was like a skincare getting ready video, and I was sitting here just like this talking, sharing memories about my mom and sharing things that I would want to tell my mom now, and if my mom was here, what would we be doing? And I was so proud of the video because I think that Mother's Day a lot can just be, you know, silly and cheesy or whatever, and the brand like turned it down. They're like, it's too depressing, and I'm like, oh, well, real life. But yeah, I don't know where that story was going. I just wanted to share it. I really loved that video. I'm so sad it never went anywhere, and yeah, my mom is not something I talk about a lot, but I am popping in because, you guys, I accidentally somehow corrupted these files on my computer. I was I was filming my Get Ready With Me and What 2018 Video Taught Me video, and I realized that I somehow corrupted the files for the last half of this video that you're watching. It was another 10 minutes, and I have no idea what I said, but I guess the universe has other plans for that video. So I'm just going to leave you with the fact that I want to share more about my childhood growing up, and I want to share it more from a sense of growing up with feeling like you're not supported and feeling like you're alone. And I grew up with 2 addicts, and I grew up in a very toxic home, and I'm so bummed that this clip didn't work out. Sorry, my neighbor and I are making direct eye contact. And I'm so sorry it didn't work. I'm so sad. I'm like so tired I can't even cry, but this video is so important to me, and I just want to get it out there, and I think there's a reason that it didn't work out, maybe. I don't know. But I love you guys so much. I hope you took something away from this. And again, if you're going through something, know that you're not alone. Know that none of this is your fault. And I love you, and I'm here for you. And I can't wait to see what 2019 brings for all of us. And I can't wait to share more with all of you. I love you so much.